So thanks for coming. My name is Jim. I'm an extension educator with the University of Idaho. My area of interest and emphasis is water quality, clean water and things like that. And so I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to see, I'd love to hear your answers. Why is water important? You raise your hand first. Go ahead.
Water, plants wouldn't be able to grow.
Absolutely. Water is it's important for all these trees. And how about our things that we grow to eat, right? Super important. Okay, how about you?
We didn't have it, we would all die.
That's right. You need to be drinking water, right? Water, our bodies are made up of something like 80% water, right? So we need water too. Why else is water important? Why is it important to you?
Because it can be used to power things.
That's right. It can be used to power things. Hydroelectric. The water comes because water is heavy, right? And it can, when it falls down something and has some drop, it can spin a turbine pretty easily, right? How about you?
Lots of creatures that live in the water.
Absolutely. Kind of all these bugs and the fish, it's really important for the fish. And how about the wildlife that come down to the water to drink, right? Yeah. And how about your quality of life? How many of you like to go swimming on a hot summer day? Okay. Now, would you go swimming anywhere? Would you go swimming somewhere where it's all stinky and green and gross? What kind of water do you like to swim in?
Like the kind of water that's at Hawaii.
The kind of water that's at Hawaii. So fairly clear water, right? Water you can kind of see through. So pollution gets in the water, and you don't want to swim in polluted water. You want to swim in clean water, right? And do you think the fish like polluted water? No, because they don't really have much of a choice, do they? How do you know that water has pollution in it?
Because it's dirty.
Okay, because it's dirty. So we're looking at the water, and the water doesn't look clear. It has a bunch of soil, a bunch of dirt. It's all cloudy, right? How else might we know?
It stinks.
Ooh, yeah, it stinks. It has some sort of odor to it. And that's a really powerful way of learning whether or not the water is polluted without having to see visual cues. Do you think that all pollution is visible? Can you imagine and can you think of a kind of pollution that's invisible? How about some sort of chemical? What if some kind of chemical? What if a chemical spill happens? You might not be able to see it. You might be able to smell it, but you might not be able to see it. What happens if the water gets too hot? Do you think the fish like that? Like if it's baking in the sun all day? And they don't. Actually, it makes it really hard. The hotter the water is, the less dissolved oxygen it can hold, and so they have a hard time breathing. So there's other things that can get in the water too, like bacteria. Can you see bacteria without like a big expensive microscope? Sometimes, if we want to know if there's pollution in the water, we have to take a water sample to the lab. Okay, that costs like maybe $40 for a simple lab test. And you have to test for different things with different tests. So maybe I have to do 3 or 4 or 5 different lab tests to figure out what's in the water. Anybody got $40? Are we going to be able to take a sample to the lab right now?
I have 20.
You have 20? Okay, we're halfway to one single test. Do you want to spend all your hard-earned money on water samples? I have an even better idea. And there's a way that we can test the water and do it for free. And actually, you can learn how to assess whether the water is relatively clean or relatively dirty.
Is it dirty?
And it's by who's living in there. The bugs tell us a story about the water quality. Because there's really lots of really cool little bugs swimming around in the creeks and in the ponds, right? That's what the fish eat, right? So bugs are really important. Now, I just maybe insulted or ignored all of the snails. Is a snail a bug? Do you think a worm is a bug? No. So how about like a mussel, a freshwater mussel? Or maybe a crayfish. Do you think a crayfish is really a bug?
No.
Some people call them mud bugs, but you know, I don't really call them bugs. I'm going to use this big fancy term. It's called aquatic macroinvertebrates, okay? I want you to say it with me. 3, 2, 1. Aquatic macroinvertebrates. Say it really loud. 3, 2, 1. Aquatic macroinvertebrates. That's a big, long, fancy word, and it means bugs, but it means everything that lives in the water, not fish. Let's talk about this. So aquatic means water, right? Okay, like the aquatic center, okay? Macro, now this is, you might be thinking of its opposite, micro. What does micro mean?
Small.
Small. I have a microscope here, right? That's so you can see little teeny tiny things that you can't see with your unaided eye. Macro means big. They're not like alligator big. I mean, not, you know, it can mean just big enough that you can sort of see its parts and legs and its tail and stuff like that with your eyes. What's an invertebrate?
So an invertebrate means it doesn't have a spine.
That's right. There's no backbone, no spine. In fact, no bones at all. And so a vertebrate has bones. Now let's see. A snail is an invertebrate, right? How about a beetle? It's an invertebrate. Now it has an exoskeleton, so it's kind of crunchy on the outside and gooey on the inside, but it doesn't have actual bones or a spine. How about a worm? That's an invertebrate too, right? Now a fish, you've eaten fish, it has bones and stuff. It has a backbone. So a fish is a vertebrate. So we're going to study aquatic macroinvertebrates today. And I went and caught some aquatic macroinvertebrates to make it easier for you. And we're going to observe some of these aquatic macroinvertebrates. And I have 2 bins here. And I have these nifty these bug viewers are really cool. Okay. And so you can take the top off and you can put a bug in here, an aquatic macroinvertebrate in here. And they're aquatic, so what do they need? Water. So put 2 or 3 spoonfuls of water in here, and then you can put the top on. And you want to hold it steady. And what if I do this, am I going to drip pond water all over me? Yeah, so, and if I try to hold it by this, it's just going to fall, so it's fall off. So you hold it like this, and then you can look down here. This is a magnifying glass. And so they get a little bit bigger. And there's a mirror in here at an angle, so you can look through here. This is also a magnifying glass, and you can look up and check out its little belly and its legs and stuff like that. Sometimes snails are really cool. I have some snails in here, and they're really cool to look at through here, so you can kind of see their foot is what it's called. I have some identification sheets, okay, and these have pictures or drawings. You'll see that some of these aquatic macroinvertebrates need clean, cold water. They're what we call pollution sensitive. They're very sensitive to pollution. Okay, they can't handle pollution. Okay, they have to live in clean water. There's some bugs that are kind of in the middle, and then there's some bugs that we call pollution tolerant. They're fine. They're okay. They may not like pollution, but they're kind of like, pollution, meh, whatever. They don't need to like swim away or go somewhere else or die if there's too much pollution. They just hang out. But the pollution intolerant ones, if you find these in the water, that means that there must not be too much pollution. So again, this is how we learn about the quality of the water in our streams and lakes. If we're finding a whole bunch of pollution intolerant macroinvertebrates, then it probably means the water is in pretty good condition. If we're finding only these pollution tolerant ones, then something's wrong. So you have some identification sheets, you have your bug viewers. I have these highly technologically advanced macroinvertebrate capture devices.
They're called spoons.
They look just like spoons. You can check the bugs out in the bins, and just what you want to do is just gently kind of, I tend to kind of hold the spoon kind of like this, and I gently scoop the bugs up into the spoon, and then put them into your little bug viewer. And then I do have a couple of microscopes. The little ones are just as important to the fish as the big ones. Think about all the little bitty fish for whom a little bitty bug would be a nice treat. So come on up and check them out. Nothing in here bites or anything. They're all just sort of scrape the algae off of the rocks. There are a couple of fish in here. I want you just to leave the fish alone, okay? And then this one has lots of them in here. Both of these have lots of bugs. So go to each of these bins and check them out. And I'll show you the technique.
Of endless wanting, my heart wants